But we can be heroes.
No. I'm sorry, we can't.
Oh, wow.
Instead, we're going to be podcast hosts.
Yay!
So, welcome to this episode of Pattern Recognition, our Fringe Rewatch podcast. I am Roxanne, and I am joined by my husband, John.
Hey, guys. And girls.
And, yeah, so...
And everybody who doesn't apply to those two terms.
Yeah, you're
why
being
not?
very binary all of a sudden.
Yeah,
What is
that was
wrong?
kind of binary of
Yeah,
me.
you have a really bad habit also of, like, saying, hey, guys.
Yeah, I grew up in a time when people
that was
thought,
okay.
Well, people thought that was a gender-neutral term, and it is not.
It is not.
So
It's not. I mean, some people don't mind, but you just need to be like, hey, folks.
yeah, that's a good one, folks.
Folks.
I think most people kind of fit in that
And
area.
I've seen it a lot lately.
Yeah.
On Twitter, I've seen people spelling folks with an X at the end, and I'm not sure, like instead of a KS, and I'm not sure if that's to save characters, or I've also only seen it by LGBTQIA tweeters. So I haven't used it in case it's implying something.
Yeah.
So I don't want to misuse something just because my brain immediately thinks that it's just saving characters. And then again, I could just be overthinking it because that is my form of anxiety. X looks cooler.
Hey,
Welcome to Pattern Recognition. We'll be back right after this. Alright, so this week we're talking about episode 10 of season 1. Yes, we're still in season 1, and yes, we're only on episode 10 because we don't know how time works and we miss our episodes. But this week, episode 10 is called Safe, and it originally aired December 2nd of 2008. So we're almost to 2009. It's taken us a long time to get there, but we're almost there. One thing about this episode is it immediately throws us into a callback to a previous episode. 2 episodes ago, The Equation, when the little boy was kidnapped and they were... Was that the one?
Yeah, because the ending of
Yes,
that.
because they needed Janine or whatever her name was to get the equation from the boy. And she gave it to Mitchell Loeb, who we know, I think, or
he's at the end of the episode.
Yeah, we know that he's a bad guy.
Yeah. Well, that and
we knew that before.
And he was, of course, the one bugged with the bug.
Yes, he had the parasite, and it was him and his wife. Yeah, Mitchell Loeb was the FBI agent who we know is working for. I believe it's called ZFT by now.
Yes.
Yes, it's called ZFT. Sorry, we're coming at this a little late.
For the first 6-7 episodes, we binged it and we did all the shows, and now we've watched it and we're kind of catching up. So it's our memory is a little bit spaced out. Where there's episodes
because we've talked about other episodes. Currently, Amanda and David, who were our guests a couple episodes ago.
And
or
want
a
to
few
be guests
episodes
again.
ago. We want to be guests again, but they're on season 4. They've just been watching it, and I was like, I haven't even let John watch season 2 yet. But we were talking about season 4 and season 3, and so my mind is all discombobulated. But yes, it is ZFT. We've talked about ZFT before on the show, but
ZFT was actually the signature in the DNA of the creature.
The parasite.
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't know what I was thinking. But so we know Mitchell Loeb is a ZFT member, and he is working in some capacity for David Robert Jones. So this episode begins. They're in a bank. They're using the device that they created, which we know at the end of the Equation episode allows them to pass through solid matter.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
So they're doing that. It's a team of bank robbers. They set a timer. They go in. They're able to get through a vault door. And they're focusing on one particular safety deposit box, which they get out, but they run. The guy can't get the harpoon released. One of the robbers can't get the harpoon released, but they're running out of time before this. Presumably, this window of soft matter closes.
And they take something.
They do. They take something.
And it's specifically the safe from safety deposit box 610.
Okay. So that was the box that they were looking for. The guy can't get back through because he's futzing with the harpoon cable. He pushes the safety deposit box through the wall, and they try to loosen the tow cable and try to get the guy out, but he, of course, we saw where this was going, as soon as it started. He gets stuck in the door, and it looks like he's half in and half out, and it solidifies around him, and pretty much it's starting to kill him. Oh, but no, they shoot him, right?
Yes.
Because he's alive, and if somebody gets him out, their whole cover is blown. So, of course, here comes Olivia and company, and they also say that Broyles tells them that other vaults have been breached, one in Cleveland and another in Baltimore, and now they finally know how because there's a guy stuck in a door, and they had gotten away cleanly before.
Yeah, I mean, that was the big thing with these other break-ins, was that they managed to get into these vaults and leave no evidence of how they were doing it.
Right. And so as they're sitting there looking at this dead guy that's stuck in the wall, Olivia recognizes him and says she served with him in the Marines and had dinner with him and his wife at his house, and his name is Raul Lugo. And so that's kind of where we leave them. Nobody mentions at that point that up until this point in the show, have we ever talked about Olivia being in the Marines?
No, and that's one of those things where
nobody says anything.
Yeah, nobody says anything. Maybe she was in the Marines?
And it just hadn't come up. It was just one of those things where, you expect somebody to go, oh, but she says it so
matter-of-factly.
Yeah, she asserts it in such a manner that nobody questions it.
Yep.
So then we go and we go to the other bank robbers. Mitchell Loeb is there, our traitor FBI agent, and he says they have another box to retrieve. And it also shows Loeb injecting himself, which apparently is part of some kind of decontamination process after using the device that allows him to pass through matter. One of the other bank robbers says they should have tried to save their friend, but Loeb says if anyone wants out, they can leave now. No one does. Presumably the money's good, or ZFT has something on them, or they believe in what ZFT is doing. Because remember, they are supposed to be a form of terrorist. So, or some sort of technology terrorist. I don't know. They're not eco-terrorists by any stretch, but they're, what are they trying to do? We really don't know.
No. And quite honestly, from my opinion, I mean, you just watch this guy shoot your former comrade.
You walk out.
I'm not walking out. I'm not putting my back to this guy.
Nah, well, that's true. That's true. So, and then we get a little glimpse of David Robert Jones, the reptilian guy that I just can't stand. Ugh. I don't know. I expect him to talk about fava beans sometimes. Because he just kind of has that, I don't know, the way he talks is so creepy.
That and the guy from Lost, which is another Abrams show. So.
Yeah, Ben Linus. Yeah.
Yes, he does a good job casting his villains.
He does. Yeah, he's got an eye for creepy guys. We see him, and he's still in Wissenschaft prison in Frankfurt, and his lawyer, Mr. Cole, greets him, and that's all we really see. It's just kind of like, oh, hey, how are you?
Well, Cole tells him that it was successful.
Okay, so, but that's all we get.
Yeah.
We don't get anything else, because suddenly we're back at a hardware store in Philadelphia with Peter and Walter. We get a nice little Peter Walter bicker banter. Father-son moment, about as good as it gets for the Bishops. And they have a father-son moment, and they're looking for supplies for things to do, because obviously they have to cut this guy.
And by father-son moment, I mean Walter gives Peter a hard time about not doing everything that he could have with his life, and Peter, of course, saying, hey, look where you're at.
Yeah, you're in no position to criticize my life choices. But yeah, they're essentially looking for a saw that can cut Raul out of out of, or the parts that are visible out of this safe or vault door. Mm-hmm. So then it goes back to the prison. So we have kind of this back and forth.
Jump back and forth. It's kind of.
It's a little, it makes sense in the show. It's hard to discuss from a summary point of view. But yeah, it kind of goes between what's going on in the investigation and then what feels like a very unrelated. We know it's related because it's ZFT and it's Mitchell Loeb and Jones. Yeah. But
the time framing is what
kind of
throws
strange.
Me off because you're dealing with the man with the safe. You're dealing, and at the same time is the meeting in Germany. Mm-hmm. But this meeting with the lawyer probably would have taken a lot less time, and so the time jumps are kind of interesting.
Yeah, the way that it. So I guess we're to believe that this is happening simultaneously at the exact same time. So it jumps back to the prison. This is when the lawyer says it's a success.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
He wants another payment to be made to Mr. Loeb, gives him the location of the next thing that he needs stolen, and he also hands him a handwritten list of items he'll need the next time. And just a couple of these items are Dramamine, suntan lotion, both things that don't make any sense for a guy in prison. So, we have a little bit of foreshadowing here that's pretty heavy-handed, that we have a device that can go through solid wall.
Yeah, I'm figuring it's going to be a prison breakout.
Right.
Suntan lotion is what a criminal gets when they're
going to get out.
Get out and go to the beach.
Yeah, because Jones hasn't seen... And Dramamine.
Yeah.
That's motion sickness.
Yeah.
So he's not getting that.
I'm like,
he's not getting that in prison. So
there's a boat, right?
Yeah. There's something's going on here, and it's dropped pretty heavily. So then it goes back to our side of the puddle, and Olivia is headed into New Jersey to question Susan Lugo, Raoul's wife. And
he was the guy in the wall.
Yeah, Raoul was the robber that was left in the wall. And, Susan and Raoul are estranged. They've been separated. She doesn't know what he's been doing. You have Olivia tries to tell her that they've met before. Yeah. We've had dinner here. We sat at this table and we ate, and it was after this particular event. And the lady's like, I remember the dinner. You weren't there. John Scott was here. And, or it was me and Raoul and John Scott. And that's, Olivia kind of has her dun-dun-dun moment where she realizes the memories that she's been having and the memories of serving in the Marines with Raoul Lugo are not her own, but John Scott's.
Yeah.
So we're continuing to have John Scott's memories bleed into what that are so real to her that they feel like her own. Mm-hmm. She's not able to separate his memories from her own at that point. So then it goes to Peter and Walter, and they're sawing off Raoul's hand. Walter feels that if he can examine, Raoul on a cellular level, he may understand better of how they were able to get through the vault door. And he talks science for a little while, Yeah. I think that's kind of one of the joys of the episodes that is completely ruined by people like us trying to explain it or go over it.
Yeah, and
because it's part of Bishop's charm.
Yeah, but at the same time, this is definitely a much more grounded episode because we're getting a little bit of a look behind the curtain. We're feeling like things are coming to a head. Yeah,
something's going on, and we're just kind of along for the ride, and we know what's happening. Mm-hmm. We know that it looks like David Robert Jones is breaking out, but we have Olivia, Peter, and Walter who are absolutely not aware that that's what's happening. We're seeing it happen, and we know that they clearly do have expensive cutting-edge technology to allow them to get through these things, and it's right at their fingertips, and they just have they've got all the dots, and they're not able to connect the pieces. Yeah. So I use like 3 metaphors at once there.
Yeah, but it's so you've got this meeting between the two of them, and then what I find interesting is Olivia comes out and explains what happened with Raul's wife, and says, I'm experiencing John's memories as if they were my own. And yeah, I think that's really interesting because it kind of displays that she's developed a little bit more trust, I think, for them. I mean, this is
her relationship with Walter is. I mean, and we kind of saw that in was it the last episode where she dunks back into the tank?
Yes.
Yes, because she wants to know more about Mark Hall, I think was his name, the guy who jumped from the window. And she's like, no, I need to go into these memories and see what John knew. And so, it's kind of, in my opinion, implied that the more she's done this, the worse it's getting. It's not getting better. Now they're so intertwined that she's sharing these memories that, and she can't tell them apart.
But in other series, in the similar genres, oftentimes details like this are kept secret. Partners keep this kind of stuff secret from each other because they don't want you don't want your colleagues to think you're crazy or whatever else. But in this situation, the fact that she trusts him enough to reveal this,
that's pretty big for Olivia. 'Cause she plays things pretty close to the chest and doesn't go into a lot.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a little bit of character and plot development. So
yeah, that's true. The show then kind of goes over to Massive Dynamic. We're always at Massive Dynamic. And so we have the segue of Olivia telling Walter about John Scott's memories being intertwined with her own. And now we have Nina Sharp learning that the effort to retrieve John Scott's memories is kind of stalled. It's at stalemate. So he's still lying in the same little see-through vault or whatever that he was in before. Still plugged into everything. And Nina reminds the tech that they're in a race against highly motivated individuals. Not sure what that's talking about.
Yeah, is it?
Unless, I guess we're talking about ZFT still, but we don't know.
Yeah.
It's kind of a very vague thing, and she doesn't...
Could it be, Olivia that she's referencing? Or is it ZFT?
Right. So it serves, that whole interlude serves to increase the ambiguity around what Massive Dynamic and Nina Sharp are either doing or hiding. And are they bad guys? Are they part of ZFT? Are they part of the pattern? Because that's been a thing that Olivia has alleged multiple times, is that Nina Sharp, because other people have alleged this too, but Nina Sharp is behind the pattern to keep, as a smokescreen, to keep Fringe Division focused on something so her and Belle can carry out their own devious plots. Yeah. So we get a little bit more of building that, what's the word I'm looking for? Just that mystery around Massive Dynamic. So Walter has figured out how the robbers got through the wall. He says that the tarp that was found on the vault door was used to conduct a high-frequency vibration, allowing the robbers to weaken the wall and pass through it. And he demonstrates this with uncooked rice on a. It's a game.
Did you ever have one of those growing up?
I did not.
I knew people that had those. Well, it's that vibrating table thing
where the pieces just move all around and it looks like they're playing football.
Yeah, and it's really
or soccer or anything like that.
It's actually a really cool game because you can there are little dials on the bottom of the figures that you can turn to have them run in certain directions.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know it was that specific.
Yeah, no.
I guess that makes more sense than what I thought. I just thought they shook it until the pieces went around and it looked like they were running.
It doesn't work really well all the time.
Yeah.
Which of course I guess is kind of like football.
It always looked like a Pee-wee league, or I guess probably Pop Warner football is not as bad as some of the little the little soccer leagues where it's like the ball kicks, all the kids run after it. There's no positions when you're 5 and playing soccer.
I was terrible at setting up my figures. They would just I'd be like, make them run this way and everything else, and all of a sudden my figures would just run to the edges of the board and leave the field completely open.
Oh, so you would Nice.
That's terrible.
Nice. See, I don't even understand the physics behind that. So
yeah.
But yeah, he's using that with a glass of rice on top of it to show that when you set the football player on top of the rice, he doesn't go anywhere. But as soon as you shake it and vibrate it, he's able to shake down into it because the movement moves the rice around. And essentially, on an atomic level, that's what's happening with these doors.
Yeah.
Is when it vibrates enough, the atoms kind of separate, and you can pass through the empty space created. So your style of playing that football game is atomic French science, so you can pass through matter. But anyway, so
I was light years ahead of everyone else.
Yeah, you were way before this show was ever a thing. So Olivia shows up about this time, and she has news that all the safe deposit boxes were rented with cash over 20 years using fake names. Of course, there's never going to be a credit card trail or a paper trail in these kinds of things, but. She has also learned that one of Raoul's friends tends bar in a Boston suburb, and so they go out to question him, because that's about the only lead they have. And at the bar, Olivia chats up the friend for information, and says she's positive she's seen him before at Raoul and Susan's wedding. And so, of course, that kind of lets him open up a little bit more. And says that Raoul went through a tough time after returning from the Gulf War, was at a VA hospital due to PTSD, and that's all Olivia really needs, and she calls Broyles to find out what hospital he was staying at. Yeah. And so we haven't visited them in a while, but we have the robbers now. Yeah. We're going back to them. And they're playing chess, discussing a map, and it's a weird map. It's a map of Germany. Loeb isn't there, but his cohorts are looking at this map, and it's Germany with latitude and longitude lines drawn all over it, and they really have no idea what's going on. And Loeb comes in, and he's like, okay, we've got to go hit our next target, which is a bank in Providence. And one of the robbers, as they're leaving, notices that his hand is shaking weirdly. And he doesn't, he kind of just hides it and moves on. So we cut back to Peter and Olivia, and they're having their own little bonding moment as they do. Peter can't help but, try to be charming and flirty. I mean, of course he's charming and flirty, but it's Josh Jackson. He's always charming.
Oh, yeah.
But he's been one of my crushes since I was little. He was on Mighty Ducks.
Yep.
I liked him way before he was Pacey on Dawson's Creek. But
hey, everybody had their point. For me, it was that movie where he played a werewolf. Hey.
What was it?
Oh, he played a werewolf in a movie with Christina Ricci.
Did he really?
Yes, he did. I know my werewolf movies.
What is the movie called?
I can't remember.
I didn't know Christina Ricci was in a werewolf movie.
Oh, yeah. It's not even named after werewolves. I mean, it's like The Pact or The Curse. It might be The Curse.
I might not believe you.
You probably don't.
Let's see. Pacey Witter. Bunch
Cursed.
Of stuff.
That is it. That was 2005. Was he not in that? Am I completely getting it wrong?
You're wrong.
I thought he played the love interest in that movie.
Oh, no. Cursed Jake.
He played the love interest in that movie.
Was he a bad dude in it?
Yes. Yes, he was.
Oh, Portia de Rossi's in it. I love her.
Yeah.
I don't like it when he plays bad guys.
Who does?
But I remember him... so many things. Urban Legend. He's good in Urban Legend. Dies horribly. Cruel Intentions. Love his character in Cruel Intentions. He plays the friend.
Yeah.
It's turned into an episode on Josh Jackson. He plays the I think he's either gay or bi, but I'm pretty sure he's gay. And he sleeps with jocks for Ryan Phillippe.
Oh yeah.
For extortion and blackmail.
It's been such a while since I've seen that movie.
Yeah.
Goodness.
I was like, good for you, Blaine Tuttle. I'll never forget that name, Blaine Tuttle. Blaine, because I think that's the first time I'd ever heard that as a first name, but then Tuttle, I believe the teacher on Saved by the Bell was Mr. Tuttle.
Interesting.
But anyway. But he was also in like a Nessie movie. A movie about a sea creature. Yeah, he was the Mighty Ducks, or he was Charlie Conway in the Mighty Ducks in '92, and that was... I started to realize that there were other people outside of Will Wheaton and Sean Astin.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I'd gotten out of Fred Savage by then, because Sean Astin was way cuter. Sorry.
Hey, no, it is what it is what it is. Everybody
But
had
I
their
do
brushes,
remember
I guess.
Fred Savage was on the cover of TV Guide, and I asked Mom if I could have the cover. And so I had just a little TV Guide picture of Fred Savage
Hey.
when I was like 4. So,
From
Wonder Years.
Wonder Years? Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
So, random talk about my childhood crushes.
God, yeah.
So, anyway, Peter and Olivia, Peter being charming, showing off card tricks. She starts listing off, she says that her only trick is that she's got a thing for numbers. She's got an uncanny knack for remembering numbers, and she starts listing off the numbers of the safe deposit boxes. And Peter goes, I know those numbers. And so it cuts to them waking up Walter at the hotel, and he thinks they need the room.
Yeah.
No,
boy.
Walter. But they realize that it's a Fibonacci sequence. And Walter, at this point, realizes that the safety deposit boxes are his own.
Yeah.
But he doesn't remember what he put in them, and he doesn't remember where they are.
Yeah.
So, at this point, it cuts back to Nina Sharp and Massive Dynamic. And so we know from our last little interlude that they're looking to recover memories out of John Scott. And the technician discovers that, or she tells Nina that they've been able to pull an image. So this is calling back, I think, crap, have we already had that episode?
What?
Where they pull the image off the girl's optic nerve? We've had that already,
Yes,
right?
we have.
Okay. I'm getting all my episodes screwed up. But yeah, so we have that again where, we can pull the last image they saw off their optic nerve.
Mm-hmm.
So they were able to do this, and it's a picture of Olivia's face. But the tech tells her this isn't off his primary, brainwave or something. It was really weird. It was like a secondary set of brainwaves. And says they must have shared a consciousness. I don't know how they would ever be able to tell this, but they must have shared a consciousness. And so Nina realizes that perhaps the memories they're seeking are not in John Scott's head anymore, because
they might be with Olivia.
They might be in Olivia's. So this weird, dunk tank science that Walter has been utilizing, we know that Nina knows something about that. So that's also very interesting. We've known that she's known Walter for a number of years. We've had instances where she said she used to watch Peter when he was a little kid, and he doesn't remember that.
Yeah.
And so there's some stuff going on, and we find that this connection between her and Walter grows ever more complicated and ever deeper. So they go to the VA hospital or Olivia and friends go to the VA hospital where Raul had been, and they talk to Raul's doctor to see if he remembers him and who he may have spent time with, because they're trying to find any information they possibly can to figure out what Raul has been doing these last 2 years when people have lost contact with him.
Yeah.
How did he get from the Raul that Olivia remembers in John's memories and the Raul that all these friends are talking about, or his ex-wife, to a guy stuck in a door robbing a bank? So they talked to one of the orderlies, and he says he remembers Lugo as part of a group they called the Chess Club, and he gives Olivia the other names of those men.
Yes.
So Charlie and Olivia track down the other associates. One of them recently bought a ticket to Providence, Rhode Island, and the plane just landed 45 minutes ago. So somehow Peter uses his own little reverse psychology type thing to get Walter to remember what bank he used in Providence. And it's a Bishop thing. Peter has his own skills, and he has learned to... It's interesting that it seems like his particular set of skills is particularly geared and able to work with Walter and his
Yeah.
Swiss cheese memory. You know, so it's interesting to see kind of how that has developed. So, knowing what bank it is, the FBI calls the Providence, Rhode Island police, has them shut down everything around the bank. And they get into the vault. The bank manager lets them in. He's like, there's no way they could have done anything. We've been here all day. No, nothing has been stolen. But they get into the vault, and that safety deposit box is stolen.
Yeah.
So they figure out, obviously they came through the floor because nobody came in to the building. Nobody had been in the vault. So,
which it's just really interesting because it's like, I guess that was the only way that maybe the vault is too centrally located. Somebody would have gotten them on video. It's like, why go this way when they've never done it that way before? But
I don't know. And it's also weird to me. I don't know. I'm from the Midwest.
Mm-hmm.
And we live now in the Houston area. And you can't just get, like, the nearest next city to us.
Yeah.
We'll say Galveston.
Oh, yeah.
Galveston takes us how long to get there? From where we are?
Probably 2 to 3 hours.
2 to 3 hours to get to Galveston.
Yeah.
And that's including traffic.
Mm-hmm. 2 hours is a good number to go with, though.
Yeah. And then you have, beyond that, we would have, Austin?
Austin?
It's probably the next.
Yeah, you're looking at anywhere from 4 to 6 hours. Dallas, 4 hours. San Antonio, 7 hours. Corpus Christi, up to 9 hours.
Yeah. So I just want to look. No, I'm trying to figure out because they're in Boston.
Yeah.
All the time.
Mm-hmm.
And they just, bloop, it's like...
It's a quick drive, or relatively quick in our opinion, because you're driving to another state, while where we live, to drive to another state takes forever.
Yeah.
You know, so I can understand there being a misunderstanding of distance.
Yeah, it seems like we've talked about this before, not here, but we've talked about it. Is it Star Trek that we talk about? Or no. What were we talking about? And it was like, oh no, it's Star Wars.
Yeah.
Star Wars
popping across the galaxy.
They just bloop. It's like they are where I can't think of the name of the volcano planet where Obi-Wan and Anakin have their big fight.
I don't remember. It's somewhere out on the fringe, but he went all the way from Coruscant all the way out to the fringe of the
in like 30 minutes or something. Yeah. It's it's like in Star Wars you're 30 minutes from everywhere.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's one of those things where, I did the Kessler run in whatever, 12 parsecs, 12.7 parsecs or whatever he says.
Yeah.
And it's like, who cares? You can get everywhere in 30 minutes. Domino's would never have to give money back for their pizza being late, ever. And nobody's done that in a long time. It won't let me search for, it doesn't like... my typing. It thinks I want to go from somewhere here in town to Boston. So, driving Boston to Providence is 1 hour and 12 minutes. I'm sure Olivia has some sort of FBI helicopter or jet or something that makes that a lot shorter. Commercially, it takes like 4 hours because, of course, you have to have a layover. But
yeah.
I'm just saying... The plane landed 45 minutes ago when they were in Boston. And she gets there and...
with local law enforcement.
Law enforcement.
Helicopter flying from one location to another and getting picked up by law enforcement would make sense.
I mean, yeah. But I'm just saying, the amount of time... So, the plane had landed 45 minutes ago. Mm-hmm. They race up there to intercept. The bankman, they discover that the vault has been robbed. They must have come through the floor. They race outside, and the robbers are just leaving.
Yes.
So, either those robbers have taken their sweet time, or, I mean, the logistics of the time just doesn't make sense to me. Because, in my opinion, they could have done this before she even knew that the plane had landed. So, I don't know. That's just what I was trying to figure out. That seems a little weird to me, but it is science fiction. This is the fiction part of this show. Compared to everything else, this is the fiction.
It's travel.
Alongside the science.
Yeah.
So, anyway, the robbers are leaving. They're getting into a van, and she pops one of them in the leg before he gets to the van, and it happens to be the guy whose hands were shaking.
Yeah.
So, I think they end up determining his name is Ryan Eastwick. And but it goes to the rest of the robbers with Loeb and shows them the things that they're stealing, and they really have no idea what it. They're like, what even is this? But all Loeb says, or Loeb makes a phone call, and he says he's coming tonight.
Yeah,
that's it. So in the German prison now, which we assume he must be David Robert Jones. His attorney returns with the items he requested. Suntan lotion.
Yeah.
U.S. money. Some eye drops and a couple vials of pills. Probably the Dramamine that he asked for. So he wants the attorney to come. He's like, okay, I got my stuff. Come back tomorrow at 6:30. And then I'll sign, he says I'll sign the paperwork. And he says he has one last request of his attorney, and all he does is he hands him a drawing that he's done of Olivia, which I'm like, okay, creepo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now we already knew that he was a little creepy about Olivia before. Kind of gives off that vibe that he knows something that nobody else does about her.
Yeah.
And we're learning also through this show, as we learn more and more about Olivia and other things, that she does seem to be like fate has brought her to this junction in her life. But I'm sure we'll learn more about that later. I know we will. I've seen the whole show.
I haven't still. So I know a little bit more.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Now we will have to be careful about having David and Amanda back on, because Amanda did all right, but David is a spoiler hound.
Yes, he is.
He does not realize he's dropping bombs, and I'm like, stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it. Bro, he's just like sitting here casually asking me questions about season 4. I'm like, shut your mouth. We are on season 1. Stop it. John knows a very little bit.
Saying all this in front of me, and I know nothing, and the idea is, I would like to be very fresh with all this. So
I don't want him spoiled, because I want to see this through the eyes of someone who's never done it.
Yeah, and
the whole purpose of the show.
I want to make some guesses and see how close I get.
Yeah, and I just go, I have no idea.
Yeah.
Which is a complete and utter lie. But I do pretty good at going, I don't remember. Because half the time I don't remember, but I do remember. I mean, I'm still waiting for a thing to happen that I thought happened pretty early on, but it doesn't. I'm very surprised. So it's one of my, oh my gosh moments. So I can't wait till we get there. Anyway, back at FBI, they have Eastwick in custody. Does Eastwick make you think of anything?
Eastwick?
Eastwick. Was that not a movie, Witches of Eastwick?
Yes, it was. That was a movie, but I hadn't even thought of that in a while.
I remember that movie solely because of, like, 2 scenes. Mm-hmm. One of which is when, because it's Susan Sarandon. Mm-hmm. I want to say Cher, but I don't think it's Cher.
I do believe it is Cher, because I remember it's someone
and
with
maybe Daryl Hannah?
curly black hair.
And maybe Daryl Hannah is the blonde?
Possibly.
Because there's like a brunette, a dark hair, or like a super dark hair. There's like an auburn hair, like reddish hair, brunette, and then a blonde. And I think it might be Daryl Hannah. Anyway, but there's a scene where, and I don't even remember why.
I don't know why, but for some reason I'm thinking of that Disney movie now. It's famous with the 3 witches. And, it's like, why 3? Why with the
Hercules?
No, what was the movie set in Halloween and
Halloween Town?
No, but
Hocus Pocus.
Hocus Pocus.
Sarah Michelle, not Sarah Michelle Gellar, Sarah Jessica Parker.
Yeah,
and Kathy Najimy and
they just all had to be so different for some reason.
Yeah, they all have to. Sisters all have different colored hair. No, they weren't sisters in Witches of Eastwick. They were just all in love with Jack Nicholson of all people. and his weird wall of TV screens. And I know this is random, but Eastwick makes me think of this. And so all night I've had in my mind the scene where the three of them, and I don't even, but they have like a voodoo doll or something. And it's the woman, I think. In my brain, it's the woman, and I could be wrong. But in my brain, the blonde that they're going after is the blonde woman from Alien.
Weird.
I think it's the same woman. But anyway, they're sitting there.
To look up.
They're eating cherries with pits in them, and they spit out the pits over the voodoo doll. And she's at some party because I think she's just been a nag.
Yeah.
In the movie, she's just like their antagonist, but she starts vomiting up cherry pits out of nowhere, and it's like horribly embarrassing and horribly awful. But anyway, but yeah, I don't know if that's the same woman. This has nothing to do with Fringe, but that's what Eastwick makes me think about.
That's so weird because are we?
Witches of Eastwick.
She played Lambert. Was it Veronica Cartwright in?
Yes, that's her.
Yes, that was her. Felicia Alden. Oh my gosh.
There's my brain for you. Sometimes I put faces on things.
Well, no, but my understanding is at the time, her and Ridley Scott were a couple when Alien was made.
Maybe.
I believe that was.
This was much later.
Because there was it was a big thing to do that he didn't tell her about the chestburster scene ahead of time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, this was way later.
Yeah. Sorry, I mean, these are all things that weird.
She was
trivia.
on an episode of Supernatural just last year.
Yeah. So
Nuts.
Sorry, guys. Yeah, we're tangent here.
This is our life. This is living in our home. But so anyway. Eastwick is in custody. Olivia works on getting him to give up any information, but he is a soldier, and so he just gives, his rank number, or his rank and his serial number, and blah, 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 blah. Peter notices the shaking hands. He decides to switch places with Olivia and begins to he's basically, you've got radiation poisoning. You're going to die. If you're left untreated. And we're the only people who can help you. So if you want our help, you have to help us. So that natural self-preservation kicks in, and he's like, okay, whatever. Do whatever you say. And but he does admit that he really doesn't know that much. But he does remember hearing a conversation about a field in Massachusetts, and or Westford, Massachusetts specifically, and they're looking at a map, that cuts to them looking at a map, and this is where we jump back to, what episode was that?
Oh.
The one where we first met.
In which we meet Mr. Jones.
In which we meet Mr. Jones, and you have Peter is in the machine trying to get the stuff out of the dead guy's mind, while Olivia's interrogating Jones, and we had Little Hill. And so Little Hill Field happens to be in Westford, Massachusetts, so they know that that's where they're going. So now we get a scene with Walter where Walter is remembering, or he's kind of remembering what he was hiding in the safe deposit boxes, and he tells Peter that when Peter was young, he had contracted a rare disease, a form of bird flu or similar to it, and so he essentially discovered a Swiss physician by the name of Alfred Gross that was the only physician to ever successfully cure a case of this rare form of bird flu. And he wanted to bring... Gross died in the 30s. And so Walter became obsessed with breaking through the space-time continuum, or reaching through it, and bringing this man forward in time to cure Peter. And but he says he never used it because Peter started to recover on his own. So, but he says essentially, if they had that device, they could theoretically get anybody from anywhere. And of course Peter thinks this is bunk, but it also is kind of concerning that these guys associated with David Robert Jones have this device that could potentially bring him to the United States essentially instantaneously.
Yeah, and getting him through customs and everything else, which is how he got, I think, busted the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he got busted by customs in, I think, London for trying to steal state secrets and stuff. And so, but anyway, so Olivia cuts to them, and they're racing to, well, it's just Olivia. She's by herself. I don't know why Charlie's not with her this time, but they're racing to Little Hill, but Loeb, and so it's kind of doing a you're getting Olivia racing there, and then you're getting Mitchell Loeb and his team setting something up. So they're putting the device together. And then you're also getting Jones in prison. So it's 6:30 in Germany. Yeah. Mr. Cole has returned, wearing a nice suit that we find out David Robert Jones paid for. Who's like, go get yourself a nice suit, was his last request, I think. And he goes and gets a suit, and then you've got Loeb triangulating the coordinates, and you have Olivia driving, and Jones kills the lawyer, takes his suit. Olivia is ambushed, and so she jumps out of her car, tries to run, but she's tranquilized. That was a newscaster here in town or somewhere.
Yes,
some
it
news
was here in
thing.
town, and oh my goodness!
And 3 times this poor newscaster said, "Well, the tiger had to be tranquilized."
Yep.
I was like, to have a career in journalism and be able to not speak the English language, says me who doesn't know how to speak it very well either.
It's okay. It's like I've said, here in Texas, you can say any word you want. Yeah, and the people are going to think you're right.
Well, Texans think you're right.
Yeah.
But nobody else thinks you're
true.
And she ends up getting tranquilized and captured. And so Loeb is finishing setting up the device. A column of light shoots up into the sky, and it flashes to Jones, and a light goes around him as he applies puts on the drops in the suntan lotion, and stands at a particular place in his cell, and he materializes into that column of light in Littlefield in Westford, Massachusetts. And
which is interesting because I looked this up because I'm big on names, especially this series. Which I'm guessing if you're from the Northeast, all these towns and all these locations getting mentioned, it's kind of fun because some of them exist in reality.
A lot of them do, yeah. I mean, a lot of the big cities.
So Little Hill actually exists.
Really?
Yeah, it actually exists, and it according to the little real estate thing I looked up, it posted in 2007, and this show came out in 2008.
Mm-hmm.
And here's a little blurb on it. It has 72 acres of wooded conservation land, a soccer field, trail system, and sidewalks. I'm just like, well, isn't that nice for a place, 72 acres for them to try and to find guys teleporting or whatever.
Yeah. What a pleasant location.
Yeah.
But, so the episode, kind of ends with a couple of things happening. Broyles calls Nina Sharp, says Olivia is abducted, wants to know, frankly, are you behind this?
Yeah.
Because even though he has done a lot to defend Nina, he ain't dumb.
No.
You never know everything that's going on with Nina Sharp or Massive Dynamic, but she shows pretty genuine concern for Olivia's whereabouts.
Yeah, especially after finding out about the memories.
Yeah, but I mean, she hasn't divulged that, but yeah, she wants to know where Olivia is too. But it's one of those things where until the very last part of this episode, I believed Nina had taken her.
Yeah.
Because 3 black SUVs show up and tranquilize her and take her out. That seems like a Massive Dynamic kind of thing. It's a little heavy-handed, but it also has that X-Files, Men in Black kind of feel that somebody's coming out of the dark to snatch you. But Loeb welcomes David Robert Jones, and he says, we have Olivia. And so Jones says, okay, well, let's not keep her waiting. So that's where the episode ends. Jones continues to creep me out. I don't like him. He cannot go away soon enough, in my opinion. And that makes him a good villain. I mean, there are villains that I'm like, they're they're crappy. I don't care. They're more irritating than anything. This guy is just creepy. He unsettles me. Mm-hmm. So Killmonger in Black Panther was just a phenomenal villain. Mm-hmm. Because he had a reason for what he did. Mm-hmm. He was very open about his reasons.
Yeah.
And it was like impassioned.
Yep.
And it was like, I can see why people might follow you or would follow you because you have a legitimate concern that is not being addressed. But this guy, you don't know what he's doing. You don't know why he's creepy because right now it just seems like he's some sort of predator. Mm-hmm. But rotten broccoli farts heated up in front of the fire and blowing my way.
No, I am so sorry. We're almost done.
I know. Whew, sorry,
Oh, it just reached me.
It's sour. But, yeah, you don't know what this guy's doing. He just comes off predatory. He comes off like a creepy, like, python or something, you know?
No, there's something inhuman about him.
Yeah, like, he's just going to eat you. And you don't know. Like, for the longest time, I would not be surprised if he turned out to be some sort of creature.
Yeah.
You know, but just some sort of half-beast. Or like a reptilian alien type. You know. But anyway, he's just one of those creepy villains that I want to go away because he makes me feel uneasy. But who are our guest stars? We, of course, had David Robert Jones, who's Jared Harris. We've talked about him before. Mm-hmm. He's been in The Expanse. He's been in the Sherlock Holmes movies with Robert Downey Jr. And apparently...
Yeah, this is going into the Wayback Machine.
I did not know this, but he apparently played older Will Robinson in the 90s Lost in Space movie. I didn't remember that at all. I don't remember them showing older Will Robinson.
Yeah, it's when there's that barrier of time on the planet they crash on. And older Will Robinson is there, and he's doing studies on the time shifts.
He's not nearly as creepy.
Oh, no, nowhere near as creepy.
Yeah, he's actually okay in that.
Yep.
But then we have Mr. Cole, who when we watched this, I was like, I know this guy's face. I've seen him recently.
Yes.
And it was that he was in Star Trek Discovery as Sarek. Mm-hmm. So... and he's really good as Star Trek Discovery as Sarah. I mean, he fits the look.
So many actors in this that have kind of been I would almost say kind of really stayed in the fandom. Mm-hmm. Because I mean, Sarek of Star Trek. I mean, way back when Thomas Cromwell and the Tudors, and currently on TV Theo Gallivan, who is Azrael in the Batman universe.
Oh,
so,
I didn't.
Yeah,
I did not know that.
Yeah, he's gotten to stay in pretty well.
Yeah,
staying busy.
Yeah,
so good for
that's
him.
Good. And then of course we had Mitchell Loeb played by Chance Kelly. We've talked about him before. None of the rest of the guest stars were
major.
Major enough to really discuss.
Yeah, you had Raoul and Raoul's wife, and they're
and Ryan
both,
Eastwick, but
yeah. They've all done. I don't want to say bit parts, but they've all done like single episodes of tons of shows.
Character actors.
Yeah, they're character actors.
So, we didn't see anything that stood out as somebody that we really needed to call out. No shade at them for that.
Get more work than I do in the business.
That's the truth. No. For our trivia. Remember, I do want to call back to the last episode. We did say that there was a foreshadowing element in the last episode, mm-hmm. which was a logo on the side of a van, and that is the logo that is on their van that they use, that the robbers are using in this, and I can't remember the name of the company, something Brothers.
Yeah.
I could look it up.
But it's a triangular logo. I remember that,
mm-hmm.
which...
Illuminati
confirmed.
Yeah, they've got it shown here, but I can't read it. But yeah, anyway, it was on the side of a van that passed during the street chase in the last episode.
But the van had a license plate.
Oh yeah.
And the license plate reads 1R2D21.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of weird. Not necessarily foreshadowing, but of course we know that J.J. Abrams went on to direct
Star
episode
Wars.
7
Mm-hmm.
and is now directed episode 9 of the Star Wars franchise. So
high hopes.
Did he already have that job in 2007, 2008 when the show was filmed? But I doubt it.
I think so, but I mean,
I doubt it. But you never know.
Yeah.
You never know.
You never know. I mean, the man has taken Hollywood by storm.
Yeah, he was hot stuff at this period. So I mean, it wouldn't truly surprise me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we also have at the end, not Olivia, but one of the robbers wants to know what they've been stealing, and it shows the device that they end up putting together looks like a surveying camera, an old one. And it actually is this is a weird name, and I'm probably going to say it wrong, but is a wild Heerbrug brand theodolite?
Yeah.
Theodolite? Probably from the 50s or so, which they are. They're used mostly in surveying to measure vertical and horizontal angles with great precision. So it is those surveying cameras that you see the guys on the side of the road using.
Yep.
I was not a dummy. I just was uneducated. But when I was little, I would see those guys standing next to the road with their surveying equipment. I didn't know that's what they were doing. I thought they were I had seen time-lapse photography in, like, stuff at school, in movies and television that they'd showed us in, like, documentaries. And
so you thought that's what they were doing?
I thought that's what they were doing, with taking time-lapse. I was like, oh, that's so cool. They're taking time-lapse photography for a PBS show right here on my street. They weren't.
That's interesting, though. That's kind of an interesting jump in logic, but hey. No, I'm curious.
That's all I knew about. So that was the only thing that I could possibly think that those men were doing out there with their camera.
And it's one of those things where I could imagine why you would think that, but no.
It was my little thing.
Yeah. So, other last little piece of trivia with this was when Olivia is at the bar with Peter. She introduces him as her brother Rick to the barman.
Yep.
And later on, when talking to the bank director, she calls him Mr. Grimes. So you put it all together, and you have Sheriff Deputy Rick Grimes.
Yeah.
From Walking
The Walking Dead.
So, fun little thing to toss out there.
What a little tidbit. Was The Walking Dead even on TV by then?
2008?
2008? No.
Probably not, but it was definitely a comic.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. But the show wasn't on yet.
I don't think it was. It's so hard to say. I don't know how it runs or anything else, all those seasons and whatnot.
I think it started in like 2010.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, but I honestly have no idea.
I'm trying to remember what was going on in my life. 2010, 11, something in there. But the Observer does make an appearance right at the very beginning of the episode as a security monitor is clicking off. The Observer has made an appearance. And the glyphs in this episode spell trade. Why do you think they spell trade? The glyphs. Why? Every other episode, like last time it was voice. And Walter's voice was Olivia's tether to reality. Other times it's been, I feel like in the equation it was like child or something like that. Yeah. And the one in which we meet Mr. Jones, the glyphs were codes. So I was trying to think what would make trade significant here, and the only thing that I could really come up with is the memories.
Yeah. That
they've traded memories in a fashion.
Possible.
I also have a spoilery idea that I really can't talk about at this point, but I need to make a note to come back to it because I believe it is more foreshadowing this technology.
Yeah.
And how it's been used.
Perhaps. Myself, I not knowing the future of the show, I just look at the word trade and I'm wondering, is this a exchange or is it trade as far as job?
Okay.
And so that's where I'm like, okay, so what could they possibly mean with either of those?
Things. My brain was going with exchange.
So, okay.
Or bartering. Or something like that.
So, There we go with the glyphs.
I'm gonna have to make a note about that. So when what I'm thinking it might be pointing to comes up, I don't know how to make a note for that. So somebody remind me. I'll have Siri remind me. Hey Siri. No, never mind. Okay, maybe not. I have a little Irish Siri. You guys should be jealous. There were a few Walterisms in this episode. The shortest that I feel like is very much Walter was, I was in Baltimore once. I remember a woman with particularly large breasts. So, you know, what...
You know, and the thing is...
It's just Walter.
Yeah, it's just Walter. And quite frankly, it's not a Walterism, but my favorite exchange of his in this episode is when they barge into the room. And
do you need the room?
Yeah, do you need the room? I mean, that's a great little exchange happens.
That's a great bumbling dad.
Yeah.
Whose son brings a girl home. And he's already been kind of making implications between, about a potential blossoming relationship between Peter and Olivia, or maybe not that one is happening, but that he might not mind. Maybe if one happened. So I like that, he immediately jumps to that in this episode.
Yeah.
But, I don't recall that he called Astrid anything weird.
No, they had the weird exchange about asking her to brush the cow's teeth.
But I don't think he called her anything different.
I don't think he called her
remember
a single unusual thing this episode.
So I need to be better about listening for those, because those go on for quite some time. So. Yeah. So that was episode Safe, and we'll be back next week with episode 11, Bound. Things are coming together. David Robert Jones is in the United States, and he has Olivia. So what is going on now? So we will thank you guys for joining us this week, and we will talk to you next time.